All right, so this is the introduction to the presentation that I gave at the Cosmic Summit 23. The title is Carolina Bays, Where Did They Come From and Where Did They Go? Now, I 100% intended on being introduced to the song Cotton Eye Joe, but yeah, that just there were some copyright issues and things like that, and so that didn't work out. But I will say that the introduction music that I did use, or that was given to me, was a piece by $50 Dynasty, which is Kyle Allen's band, one of the Snake Brothers, and so it was a whole lot cooler to be introduced with that song. So that worked out well. I also spent a minute or two talking about my family over there. That was a trip that we took to the Azores last summer, and the Azores is where my grandmother's family is from, and so we've always had like a neat connection with the Portuguese people of the Azores, and because this was a Cosmic Summit, and Atlantis is one of those topics that it's just fun. And it's one of those topics that kind of introduces a lot of people to some of the real science being done here. And so I wanted to make sure that I included that, the only true possible location for Atlantis is the Azores, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Just saying. And then, of course, on the introduction page, I had to include a very broad image from the LiDAR provided by Michael Davies on Cintos.org. That is a section of topography from the South Carolina and North Carolina border, right along the coastal plain, and it really highlights what we're talking about when it comes to what the Carolina Bays are. And I was actually surprised. There was quite a bit of people asking about Carolina Bays in some of the Q&As that had nothing to do with this presentation, but the Carolina Bays kept getting brought up. And during the presentation, I just asked, just by a raise of, show of hands, how many of you have no idea what Carolina Bays are? And if you go back and watch that video, quite a few hands popped up. And so I'm glad I'm putting together this video now, because, these were people that are in these same circles, and they had never heard of Carolina Bays. And so I want to make sure that all of you guys know what they are, and that they are a true mystery. Now, I also needed, during my introduction, to give props to the organizer of the Cosmic Summit, because, Mr. George Howard, the Carolina Bays, that's his baby. That's what got him involved and interested in the entire cosmic catastrophe realm. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, all of that came about because of his fascination with Carolina Bays, and he was actually one of the very first people to make a website dedicated to the Carolina Bays, and this is way back in the late 90s, right after the internet really kind of took off. He said, hey, Carolina Bays are interesting, we need to have a website, and that's what he did. Now, here we are 25 years later, and the godfather of the Carolina Bays is putting on a summit to bring all of this interesting information under one roof, and so he really does deserve the recognition for just being the one to put that stuff together. He's a doer, man. He gets stuff done, and I've known him now for almost a decade, and he's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed my company with him, and I hope to be able to enjoy his company well into the future. So props to the godfather of the Carolina Bays, Mr. George Howard. All right, so that pretty much summarizes the introduction that I had for my presentation at the Cosmic Summit 23. When we come back for the next video, I'll be going over the scientific method. It's something that I do as a science educator. I do that every semester with my students, and I wanted to make sure that I did that with the audience, because we tend to forget that we're all scientists, and that we go through these steps all the time. So next video, we're going to summarize the scientific method.